3, 2, 1.
And now, you're tuned into the Navarro-Miller Report, featuring the hottest in news, entertainment, sports, and all those topics for the mainstream audience. The Navarro-Miller Report.
Examine your reality.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Navarro-Miller Report. I'm your host, Dave Navarro.
And I'm Jeremy Miller.
And if you guys didn't recognize that voice, let's introduce you. Of course, we have with us today special guest co-host Twizm Whyte, and he is the voice of our intro to our podcast. He's the one that created that entire intro, the sirens, everything you hear at the very beginning is this gentleman right here. Twizm, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. And Jeremy, man, thanks for taking the time out of your day to meet with me too, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to meet you, brother.
Well, everybody just always gives him props. Who cares about Jeremy these days?
I do believe it says the Navarro-Miller. So
he gets top billing. I mean, come on.
I mean, I get top billing, okay?
He doesn't get the bitch.
But I mean, in essence, it was a very, very special day for you, Jeremy, yesterday because, well, you got to hang out with me. That's always a special day.
And I'm getting to have a special day too. That means I'm having a special day too then.
Right. But it was actually especially special because it was Jeremy Miller's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, happy belated birthday. So to you, Mr. Miller.
Yes.
For today, him and his fiance, as a birthday present from, I believe, from your sons, right?
Yeah, my son Sean actually got it for us.
Yeah, he got for you guys an incredible hot air balloon ride, which we're gonna go ahead and just play a little bit of what happened here. This is his fiance. There he is, right there. You know, mask on and everything with that horrible USC, apparel on him.
Boo-hoo.
For those
they took us up to about 6,000 feet. And it was really awesome. We had two skydivers with us on the balloon. It's actually not skydiving; it's considered base jumping if you go from a balloon.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to see them launch from there, man.
Oh man, that's so cool.
It looks fantastic, man. It looks like a great view. And what time in the morning was that? Because it looks like it was like dawn.
Yeah, you're up at sunrise. At sunrise, right? They're starting to take you off. So had to meet there at 5:30. It's down in Temecula, and it was just absolutely awesome.
Oh, there they are, right there.
Cool. That's so cool. So cool.
This is definitely awesome right here. That was just part of the footage. Here's the other part of it, actually, where they continue on. I mean, this is a beautiful view right here. This is it doesn't look like it's too high up though.
No, from the perspective, it doesn't look like we're as high as we are. And truthfully, having skydived already and been up to 12,005 and jumped from there, it doesn't seem like you're at 6,000 feet. It really doesn't, unless you're looking straight down, unless you have the tenacity to hang your head over and look straight down. You really don't get a sense of how high you are.
Huh.
That's incredible.
That's just absolutely beautiful.
So you've also skydived too, huh?
Yeah, my little brother wanted to go for his 18th birthday, so I took him years ago. Actually, to that same airport, and 24 years ago, we went skydiving.
Wow.
That's officially the coolest man right now. You are the official cool man. You're the cool man in the building, man.
No kidding. It was so much fun. It was, and honestly, anybody gets a chance, I'm going to give them a little plug here. Skyline Tours down in Temecula area. Great experience. We had a great captain running the balloon, great chase crew. Man, those guys, you want to know how much work goes into this? These poor guys are in a van and a truck and on foot running below us or driving below us, following you, so that wherever they can finally land, they can pick you up and take you back to where you launched from.
Wow, that's service right there. That's
with a hot air balloon, you're not what's it called? With a hot air balloon, you have no control of your direction. You're all based on the wind. So we, came into land and the wind changed. So he had to get on the microphone and tell them, oh, we're not going to be able to hit this field. We're heading north, but, we're heading towards this location. Meet us there. Then they go to the next one. The wind shifts again. And it's like, we're not going to be able to hit this field. So we got to find another one and so on. These guys were hustling, man. And you got to realize this is I think he said 38,000 cubic foot balloon.
Wow.
That's a lot of fabric, and these guys have to wrestle that whole thing down out of the air. It's amazing. The work they put into it for, an hour's experience is amazing.
So I have a question real quick. I have a question on this. So at this time that these people are running with you, do they have a coordinated system, or are they just running around like chickens?
No, they've got this down to a science. They really do. This guy knows.
They got a formation going on and everything.
Yep, absolutely. They've got straps on each side of the balloon. They know which ones to grab. They all get in their positions, and it was amazing to watch these guys manhandle this giant contraption.
That's crazy.
Man, I'm glad you had a great time, Jeremy. I think your video froze in a very awkward way. To be honest, it's crazy.
Really, I'm moving.
You are on my screen. It's crazy, but anyways, hopefully on everybody else's, you're still moving. So
yeah, you're still moving on mine. You're good, Jeremy.
There we go. Now you're moving on mine. For some reason, it was weird. We got a couple people. Well, we got. Colette is actually, she saw the video right now. She says, hi, Jeremy. Joni, my cocktail waitress from a decade ago. Joan and Jer, I love you. And yeah, so Colette's got a lot of love for your fiance Joni there, Jeremy. So that's really cool.
Don't we all?
Right. If I don't love her, she'll kill me. So
I was gonna say, you're dead, dude. Don't even.
One way or the other, I'm screwed. But yeah, that's probably going to be on my bucket list to eventually get on a hot air balloon ride. But then again, after my confession yesterday about how I'm afraid of flying, I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon, in my opinion.
You gotta get over that, bro. You gotta get over that fear of flying, man.
Yeah,
that's so 1980s. That's a 1980s thought process, man.
Don't worry. I'm gonna stick him in my bags on a couple of trips and get him used to it.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, I'm not afraid of the flying in between the interim. I'm afraid of the taking off and the landing part. Because that's where anything could happen. Anything could happen at that point. That's what I'm afraid of.
That's my favorite part. That little drop that makes your heart skip a beat when you take off, and then that bounce when you hit the tarmac. Come on, that gets your adrenaline going.
Oh God, no, I'm good with that.
Here's a good one for you. I'll tell you.
So I tell you, man, I'm a sucker for planes and boats, man. If I could be in the air, or if I could be on a boat, I would be right there. I would not be on land. Land sucks to me. Walking sucks.
I'm with you. We were coming in once, and when we landed on the first bounce, we landed fine. On the second bounce, the landing gear snapped off.
Oh, Jesus.
So we went sliding across the tarmac and ended up having to wait on the tarmac for an hour for them to get us out of the plane and get us all taken care of. But that's my only harrowing experience.
That's terrifying.
I did the whole plane. I did the whole plane rides back in. So back when I was doing them, it was TWA. And, TWA. So I had to fly from Basically, I would fly from what was quote unquote my mother and my grandmother's house to my quote unquote grandmother and grandfather's house in a different state. So I flew in a plane for probably 10 hours. Okay, each way is 10 hours, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole time I would be on there, because I was only 6, 7, and 9. Okay. And the whole time I'm on there, I sit in the front row right behind the captain's desk, the stewards or whatever are right there. I'd always get one of those little TWA pins to put on my chest. It was always the coolest, most, they made it always so cool, right? And I never had any wicked experiences or anything. And I always remember looking out the window, and I always remember seeing and I still to this day, man, popcorn. The clouds always looked like popcorn to me, man. It was just big puff balls everywhere, man. You know what I mean? It was just coolest experience that a little kid could have. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the first flight that I ever took was with I think it was with was it Southwest? Yeah, it was with Southwest. That was the first time I actually.
Because you're a baby.
Well, because it was the cheapest flight I could get to Vegas at the time. Okay, give me a break. So I mean, I flew Southwest. It was for I think it was for my 22nd or 21st birthday. It was for one of those two, and basically, it was one of those things where it was like. I was scared. I ended up having a couple drinks in the plane because it was legal at that point. I was like, hey, might as well drank a couple of those, and I was gone. I was like ready to go and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, the pilot actually made it pretty tolerable for the most part because he cracked a couple of jokes in the beginning. And he made it more tolerable, so I was like, okay, this guy's kind of funny. I hope we don't die. So that was my thought process. But yeah, we got some people. Derek actually just commented. He's like, "Yeah, Jeremy froze again, or is he practicing his ventriloquism?"
I haven't froze on this end. I'm still moving. I have no idea what's going on.
Now you're moving. It's weird. I don't know. It's probably kind of a weak signal today. Who knows? But let's go ahead and dive in right here in entertainment news. And our top story that's going on right now, obviously everybody knows Alec Baldwin was involved, in a tragedy while on set. He discharged a firearm that was a prop. It was supposed to be a prop, and it was supposed to have blanks in the gun, but it didn't. And he ended up killing director of photography and the director and injuring the director himself. Alec Baldwin went ahead and actually decided to go ahead and make a statement in regards to this tragedy today. I mean, he took it very hard. There was actually footage of him crying, like just crying hysterically. Obviously, the guy, Alec is a very controversial person with the paparazzi. He doesn't like him, whatever, but he's not an evil man. He's not a killer. He's not a murderer, obviously. So in his statement, he says, quote, "There are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Helena Hutchins, a wife, mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred, and I am in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family." The only one time that I remember that this happened, and Jeremy, you said that this has happened actually more than once. For me, the only one time that was actually very public that it happened was with Brandon Lee when they were filming the Bruce Lee story that took the life of Brandon Lee.
When they were filming The Crow.
The Crow, I'm sorry, excuse me. Yeah, The Crow.
Yeah,
when they were filming The Crow. And so that's when they, I think they stopped production altogether, or they were filming the last scene, something like that. They still filmed the rest of the movie. But it was a huge tragedy that everybody was shocked about. But you're saying that there's been other cases like this, Jeremy.
There has been. There's two documented cases before this as well, before the Brandon Lee incident. There was a young man on a television set, and they had given him a prop gun. It fired blanks, but nobody told him that you still had to be careful because of the force that comes out from the blanks. It's still an explosion. And this kid put the gun up to his temple and pulled the trigger, and it killed him. There's no slug, there was no nothing, but it still killed him. And, so that's happened before. Then we have the incident with Brandon. There was another incident years and years before that. And I just don't understand. This is my problem with it.
Don't forget. Go ahead.
No, please.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, don't forget about the wrestler guy from the WCW that fell from the rafters.
WWE, that was Owen Hart.
Owen Hart,
things go wrong in a show like that, and it's horrific. But I've done at least 5 different projects where I have handled prop firearms. Mm-hmm. And every time, I thought it was just because I was a kid, because the first time was on Growing Pains when I was 8. So, every time from that time on, the prop handler, the gun handler has come in, and before you start filming, before you ever even touch it, they go through kind of a handling kind of scenario and course, tell you what to do, and then they go through a safety check, where they actually show you that the barrel has been plugged up with lead so it can't fire, where they show you the firing pin's been taken out or this and that. So I don't understand how this is possible. If that's a basic, if the basic thing you do as a gun handler on a set is show the actors how it's unfireable, why would a live gun ever be allowed on set then? I don't understand. There's got to be protocols. There's got to be something done. This is ridiculous. I believe it was Joss Whedon who said he's never going to use anything but a pellet gun again on any set he's ever working on after this.
Okay, but here's the question. Here's the question. In a world of CGI and animation, why the hell do you need to use prop guns at all? Or I mean, like, why would you even need to use blanks or a BB gun or anything? If you need to use a dummy, okay, use a dummy version of one. Sure, use a very realistic plastic-looking one if you have to, but use the CGI capabilities that we have. That if you go on YouTube right now and you look at the CGI capability of 10 years ago, okay, they made it look so realistic. Look, I rock with this guy named Xander Berkeley, and Xander Berkeley he's like an actor, right? And he's like one of the smartest guys I know. Like, he's brilliant, man. Turned me on to this show called Fantastic Fungi, man. It's absolutely crazy. It's all about mushrooms, but it's mental stuff. Anyways, whole point being is he's an actor, so he's like behind the scenes about it, and he's the one who actually opened my eyes to the fact that you can use a dummy gun in acting, in major movies, major cinema, and still be able to CGI bullets, be able to CGI the flash of the gun, be able to CGI the whole atmosphere about it. So
I'll take it back even further. Look at Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner. Okay, this is a film done.
Oh Jesus, I've never even seen that. So
90s or
I've never even seen. I haven't seen that.
The guns were styrofoam rubber, basically, because they had. They froze again, or Dave? Not Dave's froze.
A little bit. No, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm very listening intently.
Anyway, the guns were very unique looking, and you couldn't find anything that was modern or realistic that would look that way. So they actually cast the guns out of a soft styrofoam or a harder styrofoam kind of thing, like a rubberized styrofoam. And they look real as can be. They, even back then, were able to put in the muzzle blast and all of the effects and things, and it looks realistic. And we're talking about a film that's 35 years old or 30 years old. So you're telling me you can't do that now? Come on. It's ridiculous.
I think
the other thing too, and I'm sorry to I just want to interject here because one of the people that are following us right now in this live broadcast, Derek actually brought up a very, very interesting question. He asks, what circumstances would he be using this? Is in other words, Alec. What circumstances would he be using the gun and not pointing it at another actor, but at a director and crew member?
I will answer this for you.
Okay, so okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, it's, if you've ever seen the shot, the 007 shot where he's aiming the gun right at the camera,
right at you.
That's the there are all sorts of different shots that you might be getting where you've got the camera in a certain angle and the gun is being pointed off camera. So
absolutely.
There's plenty of scenarios like that where it could be, where that could still go wrong.
But ultimately, irrelevant to the scenario, irrelevant to the movie, irrelevant to whether it's animation or not animation, the very fact that an incident like this happened in today's society, God dang it, I'm so sorry, guys. The very fact that an incident like this happened in today's society, as safe as we are about all our other protocols and all our other, routines and regulations, it only seems as if there's a breakdown within the system on that set. Meaning
absolutely
somebody messed up. And it wasn't Alec. Alec is a victim here in a sense, because he was doing his job. And he relies upon the safety net that is in place by the production crew, by the companies, by the whole management system to be able to rely and trust in the fact that when he pulls that trigger, nothing like that's going to happen.
A lot of protocols.
A lot of protocols. So for the fact that this even happened, we don't need to be talking about Alec. We need to be talking about the people who let him down. You know, the people who let the production company, the people who let Helena down. How about that? The people who let her.
Well, that's what I was thinking actually when this whole thing happened. I'm like, they're not going to blame Alec because he's just an actor that was told, "Here's a gun, point it here."
Point it here.
That's all he was supposed to do. So it's not Alec's fault. He was just doing what he was told by the director himself, by direction. So the real people that they need to fine or fire or prosecute, whatever, I doubt they're going to prosecute because this was an accident. It wasn't intentional. But at the same time, it seems that what they're going to end up doing is, I would think that there's going to, obviously there is an investigation going on. They're going to find out who's at fault. They're going to fire that person and probably fine the studio for this mishap. The family's going to get compensated, and everybody else.
Accidental manslaughter. I mean, come on. This is accidental manslaughter. There's still a charge here somewhere. I mean, somebody is still they'll settle out of court. You won't hear about it in the news, but somebody's going to suffer for this one. This is big, bro. This is big. This is not a small thing right here.
And what's really confusing to me is it seems that there is no base protocol for this. Yeah. Like I said, I just 8 months ago did a TV show and a movie with a production company, and in both of them I play a detective, different parts, but a detective. So I had a piece on me at all times. And again, the prop guy came to me beforehand every single day, and we went through the safety check and, you know, making sure the chamber's plugged up and everything else. So why is that not the basic protocol? Why is that not something that has to be done legally every single time a firearm is on set?
Well, you know what that comes down? That comes down to money. That comes down to money.
It does, but again, we've lost another life now. I mean, this happened back with Brandon. Why were these protocols not put in place then? You know what I mean? It seems to me that if you can use a live weapon on a set, there has to be some amount of protocol beforehand.
Not to mention,
and it doesn't seem like anybody's put that into absolute training. I mean, something. This is unacceptable in a way I can't even explain when we know that this has happened before. And
what the chances of it happening again are very high as well, which is very unfortunate.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if I ever am in a project again where I am carrying a live weapon, a real weapon, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to find somewhere safe and I'm going to try and discharge it multiple times before I ever even step on set with it.
No,
well,
I mean, and I'm sorry to interrupt here, Twizm, but
no,
there's even actress Josie Davis, and many of you know who Josie Davis is. She was in Charles in Charge. She played Sarah Powell in Charles in Charge, and she's been in a bunch of other TV shows. She's been on the show with Charlie Sheen. And she went ahead and she posted on her Instagram, she says, tragic loss of Helena Hutchins because of lack of safety. Time and time again on set, I recall what happened to Brandon Lee when he was killed on set of The Crow by a real bullet. I was taught always to make sure there's no way anything can be discharged, no matter the attitude or look I get. Now we've lost this human being. Prayers to her friends and family. Never should this ever happen again. So, I mean, many actors, many people from the industry have expressed something similar to what Josie expressed, and something similar to what you expressed as well, Jeremy. I mean, this is a tragedy that, you know, it needs to be dealt with. And here's hoping that something like this does not happen again, because this is something that really should never happen to begin with.
Well, the only way this won't happen again is if we completely eliminate the situation all in itself. If we take away all prop arms that are live, okay, well, if you make a copy, okay, if you, like you was talking about the rubberized copies or things like that, that's how you would eliminate it, right? CGI effects, that's how you would eliminate it. But as long as we still have these live action movies, as long as we still have what we call realistic based movies, then you're still going to have, you know, the Martin Scorseses out there who like that raw, realistic, authentic look to something. You know what I mean? And so I kind of wonder how, in a way, could you ever prevent this from happening again, short of making it just not possible. You know, no real firearms. Yeah, no real firearms whatsoever. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I'll tell you, if from an actor's point of view, it's a really difficult situation because there are directors and there are, I mean, many stories out there, many. I never personally worked with a director who did this to me, but there are directors out there who want to push their actors to the very brink. You know, whether it's danger, whether it's whatever. And it's up to us because there's nobody looking out for us on set. I mean, as a kid, I had protection. Once you hit 18, there's nobody looking out for you. Absolutely nobody. So it's up to us to say that's too much, that's too far. But if you do that, then you're tough to work with. Then you're difficult. Yeah. So,
and then on top of that, they get a bad name through Hollywood.
Exactly. So it's a really difficult situation for an actor to be put in. But I'll tell you right now, after this, I mean, I didn't know him well, but I did know Brandon Lee. And I said after that, this can never happen again. You know, it can't. It's ridiculous. They have to put in, and apparently nothing was done. So I'm saying it again right now. SAG, protect your freaking actors, you know, get some laws put in place, start lobbying, do something, because this is unacceptable to a degree I can't even explain. It cannot happen again. We've had it happen multiple times in the past. It cannot happen. It's the most horrific end that you could possibly imagine to something that is supposed to be a magical experience in creating entertainment.
Agreed. I mean, and right now, the police are still going to go ahead and investigate what's going on. We'll go ahead and keep everyone apprised as to what happens next and what the studios are going to do next. In other news, Brian Laundrie's remains have been found. Basically, this is a very strange situation because it's weird, you know? It's one of those things where it's like you think that you know something and then you don't. I mean, first we have Gabby Petito that she passed away. Brian was a person of interest, but he was never actually charged, and they were just looking to talk to him, to interrogate him about what happened, but they never got a chance to because they ended up finding his remains, not even him, but his remains in a swampy area in Florida. And the question here now is, did this person like feed himself to the alligators, or I mean, I don't know. It's a very weird situation. I was talking to Jeremy about this yesterday when they found out about that they found his remains. That I'm thinking maybe they both saw something they shouldn't have, and they were offed, and it made it look like, you know, it was a murder suicide type of thing. I don't know, because this is a very strange situation. I mean, I don't know what to think. You know, I mean, obviously, Twizm, you got something to say about that.
I guess I'm a little too outspoken, but this right here is a case. God dang, I'm so sorry, man. This is a case of a guy who basically is a guy. This is domestic violence at its finest right here. Okay, this is domestic violence at its finest. This guy, he got off on the fact that he had power over her. He used that power. Eventually, that power corrupted him to the point where he did something that he regretted, okay? And obviously he regretted it. His actions showed he regretted it. He disappeared. He cut off communications. He went ghost, okay? But on top of all of that, to find his remains in some swamp off of the beaten track, knowing that God's creation is looking for him, goes to show right there that he knew the only way out of this was just to take his own life, man. And that's the poor miserable, weak-minded person that he was. And I hate how the media is going to want to spin this. They're going to try to take this 10 different ways, but this is nothing more than a domestic case at its finest, and this should not be about some white girl or some white dude. This should be about domestic violence. We should be bringing to light all of the women across the world who are having this happen to them right now, of all colors and creeds, not because of the fact that this is a highlight, but because it's a serious thing. This is real. This happens to many, many women. Come on, man. Like, dudes beat the shit out of women all the time, man. So
I can tell you right now, my fiance Joni and I have a very dear friend that we lost about 4 years ago now, and I can't say he did it because there's been no proof and he has not been charged. I don't want to get sued. But we very much believe we know exactly who did it, and it was her abusive husband. So there's evidence. Unfortunately, it's small bumblefuck town, Georgia, so everybody's protected by, everybody knows everybody, and they're not going to prosecute because he went to school with everybody. It's a horrible situation, but this happens all the time, and I agree with you completely, Twizm. The red flags and everything that they've said in their relationship, the things that were seen on YouTube, the sheriff who saw him verbally and physically abusing her, all these things, those are red flags that anybody who's dealt with domestic violence or had friends who dealt with domestic violence, those red flags, you recognize them immediately. And there's so many here. So I agree with you completely. No, we will probably never know the exact truth, but I believe 100% you're right, Twizm, that is nothing more than a result of a
weak-minded person taking his only out. Yeah, it's a weak-minded person taking his only option.
At the same time, we also got to ask ourselves, did he just put cow's blood on him and just take a dive into the swamp, or did he fall asleep and then the alligators were like, oh hey, lunch, and they came and killed him? I mean the mystery here is still very strange as to how he died. I'm curious to know the cause of death for this guy. Or did he take some pills maybe and then just fall asleep?
Can I ask you a question, Zach? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does it matter? Does it make a difference to the outcome, to the story, to the details? Does it give you a peace of mind? What does it do for you to know the exact way, the exact manner? Are you not happy that there's some resolution? Morbid curiosity. I appreciate the honesty.
I
appreciate the honesty.
I'm just so curious because I'm a very inquisitive person. That's why I'm a journalist. That's why I got my degree in journalism, because I love to ask. I want to know the truth. I want to know the questions. I ask questions. So therefore, that's the reason why I'm always asking these questions. How did this person die? What did he do to himself? Is there any type of resolution? Unfortunately, there isn't, because he didn't get brought to justice. He got away with, allegedly got away with murder, because we don't know for sure if he did it or not, but obviously there's a lot of proof that are pointing in his direction, that's for sure. But as Jeremy said, I don't want to get sued, so I'm not going to go ahead and say that he did do it or anything. But there is a lot of evidence that kind of makes your eyebrows stand. But I mean, with me personally, I just want to know, what did he do to go ahead and have his remains out there? That's just my morbid curiosity, wondering how this all went about. So that's just
probably the only place in all of God's world that he knew that he could go to and actually have a few moments to bring himself to do this. I mean, you got to realize you've got people out there of every form, media, YouTube, Instagrammers, everybody out there is looking. Is this it? Is that him? Is that him? Is that him? This dude has to find himself somewhere where he is able to sit down, write in his little journal everything he needs to say, and then go ahead and take the weak person's way out. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a really
at this
good point.
At this point, to be in all honesty, I think this is that moment where you immediately stop worrying about all the details, and you start immediately pushing, for change. You start pushing for recognition. You start bringing awareness to this, and you start saying, hey, these are the identifying factors. These are the kind of types of people. If you see this situation go on, have some hotlines going on, because let me tell you something. This is something that happens all the time, and it needs to be brought to the light, because so look, this is a big worldwide media attention scenario. Well, let's use that to make change, or else we're going to be talking about this just like we're talking about the Alec Baldwin situation, and we're saying, well, there's not much that can be changed about it right now because that's just the way it is. We don't want to say that. That's not what we want to say about this. We want to say, well, guess what? We learned a few lessons from this, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to put together task force. We're going to have hotlines. We're going to have recognition factors so that if there are these types of behaviors going on, they are identified and brought to light. And I'm not just talking about in celebrities or YouTubers. I'm talking about in your neighbor next door, man. Maybe you saved your neighbor's life. Maybe you saved your neighbor's life just because you recognize the signs of a domestic violence situation. And
absolutely,
one of the things that I've learned about domestic violence is that the person who's in that, they want out. They don't want to be there. They want out. They just either don't have the strength or they don't have the knowledge on how to get out. Or they're scared. Well, but that's part of having strength. You know what I'm saying? That's the part of the having strength part. And you could be that strength for them. You could be that knowledge for them. You could be that life-saving doorway that they don't have. And that's what we should be focusing on. That's what the moral of the story should be. That's what, I understand morbid curiosity and everything, but that's what we should be talking about. And if I'm going to waste my time talking about it, I'd rather waste my time talking about it, advocating for something that's going to make a difference to somebody else, rather than dude got what he's what I'm saying. Dude got what he's coming to him.
I'm gonna say right now, that is a mic drop for you, Twizm, because that was as good as it can be said. No, that's as good as it can be said. Seriously, that is the point. That is what we should be talking about right now. You said it. You absolutely said it perfectly.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I am not at all, shadowing the real point of what happened here, the whole entire tragedy. I'm not shadowing that at all. No. I mean, again, my morbid curiosity is one thing. That's why I was wondering what the hell happened. But in all essence, it's not necessarily, like you said, it's not the point of this
resolution,
story, nor the moral of this entire tragedy. This tragedy, because it is a tragedy, what happened here. And it's unfortunately a tragedy that happens every 5 seconds somebody is
something. It's like every 5 or every 12 seconds or something like that. Yeah,
it's something like this is happening. So in essence, it is one of those things that we need to go ahead and figure out a way how to stop us as a society. If we see something wrong, we need to be cautious at the same time, because there's other factors to also take in as well, because there are situations where the woman doesn't want help or ends up actually there's an old story that my mom told me years ago about a man was walking on a trail and he saw a couple in a situation where the man was beating the crap out of this woman. So he runs over to defend this woman, and then
she attacks him.
What happens? He goes and tackles the guy, starts going at wailing on the guy. Suddenly, he gets stabbed in the back by the woman who had a knife on her. What's the moral of the story there as well? I mean, it's all about, you need to go ahead and see the situation, assess the situation, and figure out how can I help this person without getting into deep, because I don't know what this person's mental state is for me to even try to help at that point. That's something that also needs,
and that's why I said hotlines and things like that. Hotline, having a hotline, a task force, things like that. But let me tell you a little story real quick, man. And I'll try to be real fast about this, man. But it's not always the man, okay? There was a situation in a town I lived in a couple of years ago. Well, this is actually a long time ago. This is back when I was a middle-aged teenager. there was a couple that we knew. They were very toxic for each other. They had that kind of, whoa, beat the shit out of each other, then do drugs, then make up, and then just do it all over again kind of relationship. But she was in his face every day, blah, 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 fighting him, everything. Just always that kind of girl about it. You know what I mean? And of course he would be right back in her face. They'd fight each other. They'd beat the shit out of each other, so on and so forth. But then one day she got on his case real bad and she killed him, or he killed her. Sorry. He killed her. Right. And then went and hung himself in the closet. Moral of the story is that it's not always the dude, though. You know what I'm saying? Because if she wasn't always so antagonistic and so in his face and always so verbally and physically abusive, but also vice versa on his part, I'm not saying he was any less to blame or anything. But you know, it can be one of those things where it can be either gender or non-gender,
it absolutely
however it
can
goes
be.
in today's world, you know what I mean? But
And
it
what
needs to be recognized.
Oh yeah, no, that's what, and that was the point that you said that I agreed with the most, was the raising that awareness so that people learn to recognize the signs
Right.
from the outside, so you can provide that help.
Right.
You know, that's so crucial.
Exactly. And right now we have some people that are actually chatting in the chat right now. Carol actually said, so much sadness, but I want to interject on a lighter note. Happy birthday, Jeremy. May you be blessed. tenfold.
Happy birthday, Jeremy, right?
Derek also said, as Carol said, happy birthday, Jeremy. Derek also said, in regards to the morbid curiosity in regards to Brian Laundrie, he said, I suppose it could make someone feel better if he suffered. So that's another way to look at it as well.
Way to look at it.
Bob says, this is a great podcast. Thank you so much, Bob, for that.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
Patty,
you, Bob. Yeah, thank you.
Patty is saying, hello from Alabama. Hello, Patty.
Well, hello.
Right here. So,
Hello from
Alabama.
Toronto.
so I mean, it's, again, you know, I love interacting with the people that are watching right now.
Absolutely.
It's so much fun to go ahead and chat with them a little bit. It's almost like a hotline that they call in, and you know,
Yeah,
it's really
right.
cool. So I like that.
No 900 number included.
Exactly. So, but going back to this story, I mean, right now they're still trying to find out exactly what happened to him. But as we all know, this is a sad ending, a tragic ending to a tragic situation in general. So, I mean, you know, let's hope that the family of Gabby finally finds some peace in knowing that more than likely their daughter's killer is gone, if in fact it was him. So, but in other news, in other entertainment news, Girls star Peter Scalari passes away today after a long 2-year battle with cancer at the age of 66. Peter actually, as many people may remember, Peter was actually, how I remember him, he actually starred in Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks. That's where he got his first start. He was also in a bunch of other television sitcoms. He was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the sitcom. He played Kaczynski or whatever the doctor's name is. So incredibly talented actor, such a huge loss. Jeremy, did you ever know him?
I did. I didn't know him well, but I did get the pleasure of meeting Peter multiple times. Very sweet man, very nice, was very kind to me every time we met, and just an amazing talent. I mean, everybody who got to see Bosom Buddies knows how special and amazing that show really was.
Yeah.
It was
Ahead of
it
its
was a
time,
legendary, groundbreaking show.
Yeah, ahead of its time
And-
for sure. Yeah, ahead of its time.
Absolutely. And it was so funny and so fun and so well thought out. And Peter brought a lot to that. You know, he really brought a lot to that character. And I had a lot of friends who actually, he had numerous, I won't say failed sitcoms, but sitcoms that never launched, that got to, you know, maybe do a pilot and 1 or 2 shows after, but they never got picked up. And I had multiple friends, my friend Andre Gower, Brandy Gold, who's Tracy Gold, my sister on Growing Pains, her little sister. They all did different projects with Peter. He did a show called Baby Makes 5, which was what Brandy was
I heard
in.
about that
It was
one.
actually a very cute show, but only lasted maybe 5 episodes. But Peter was an amazing talent, and he's a legend in the business. So it's I mean, not even talking about his later work, just for his groundbreaking work on Bosom Buddies. I mean, he's a legend. So this is a big loss.
It's very tragic. Very tragic.
Isn't this becoming almost second nature, hearing about a celebrity dying from cancer? I mean, like, what's going on lately? I almost feel like it seems like cancer is making some sort of rise now. You still pay attention to me. You know what I mean?
Twizm, you got to remember one thing, that a lot of people they've been stuck indoors, haven't been able to go to hospitals because of COVID, so they haven't gotten their regular screenings, things like that. That's the reason why cancer deaths have actually risen this past year, because unfortunately because of that, because many people can't go to hospitals because of the patients that are overrunning hospitals, COVID, etc. So that's pretty much what doctors are looking at right now. But it's an unfortunate loss right here, because so many people are dying of cancer now. They're getting their screen a little late now. But it's unfortunate and a big loss for the television industry, entertainment industry in general. My condolences go to Peter Scalari's family on this very tragic day. In other news, Jeremy, you found a very interesting article, and Twizm, you might want to hear this because I know that you're a father of a lot of daughters, so you might want to take a listen to this right here. Catholic schoolboys are in big trouble. Why are Catholic schoolboys in big trouble, Jeremy?
Well, this one's going to be very multi-layered. So we have a incident that has occurred at Catholic St. John's College in Minnesota, and their sister school, St. Benedict's, which is an all-girls school. So St. Benedict's all girls, St. John's all boys. And apparently, using a chat room, the men or I'll call them boys because this is a pretty childish thing. Yeah. The boys at St. John's created a list of desirable women at the other college and assigned points to which women they slept with or got sexual favors from. There were different points assigned to different sexual acts, and they were basically just keeping a running tab. It basically boils down to, who could sleep with the most girls at their sister school. And this has now come to light and has turned into a rather large school investigation and kind of a big deal. And I'll say this now. I have nothing but respect for women raised by a single mom. I look at this, I'm like, that's reprehensible. If my buddies were doing something like that, I would tell them to their family, like, dude, you're a scumbag. That's freaking ridiculous. Quit acting like a 12-year-old. But at the same time, they're turning this into a full-blown, almost criminal investigation. They had sit-ins and protests at the girls' school talking about, we won't accept sexual misconduct. I'm sorry, I don't feel this rises to the level of sexual misconduct. No one was forced to have sex.
That's where this is premeditated. See, it's one thing if you catch your son with a daughter, you catch your son with a girl, you catch your daughter with somebody. That's one thing, right? Stumbling in upon somebody at the moment, that's different. When you're showing that it's a premeditated game, this almost encounters like a Squid Game kind of mentality. You rigging up a game in order for people to make a decision to whether or not get points. I mean, this seems to me to be that's wrong. That's very wrong. And in today's here's what makes it even more wrong. In today's society, with Me Too movements and with such social media awareness about sexual rights and things like this, why would you even think it's okay to act like that anymore? Why would little boys even pretend like that's okay anymore? Where's the parents raising these people? Where's the school teachers teaching them? In public schools, I know that they have these conversations. In public schools, I know they lay down rules and regulations about what you can and can't do. So if they're doing that in the Catholic school, then these kids went above and beyond because it's premeditated. It's not just some random act. They were doing this maliciously with malicious intent.
And I absolutely get that. I mean, I think it's horrific, and malicious is a good word for it. But does it rise to the level of actual sexual misconduct. There was no sexual assault. There is no forcing. They seduced the women.
So every single one of these girls fully consented in every way.
There are no charges whatsoever, or even suggestion of sexual assault or drugging women or anything else. This was all just, hey, see if you can get a date with her, get her out, and see what you can do.
That's still
horrible.
Well,
I mean, still reprehensible.
But
does it rise to the level of sexual misconduct, sexual assault?
All right, let me ask you a question.
Hold on, Twizm. Let me interject here for just 1 second, actually, because this is getting to be a discussion that's actually, because Twizm, you're a dad. I get it. You have daughters.
That's why I wanted your opinion.
And here's the thing. Here's what I look at it. This has been going on for years. It wasn't a game. It wasn't a game. It was just something that jocks would be like, hey, man, how many girls you slept with? Oh, man, I slept with like 5, locker room talk type of situations. Yeah. These guys made it into a game, and these girls didn't know it was a game. They thought, this guy really loves me, or this guy whatever. They didn't know it was a game. But as Jeremy said, there is no misconduct here. Well, there's at least nothing
All right, so now let me ask the both of you a question, okay? Pedophile. You don't know he's a pedophile. He's walking around. He sits down at a bench. He sits there and he stares at those kids all day long. Somebody calls and makes a report. He goes to jail because of intent, because he was sitting there maliciously intimidating those children by staring at them, so much to the point that somebody else felt that they need to make a call about it. Why is that situation any different than this situation? When it shows, like you just said right here, it's not just locker room talk. It's not just what they used to do on the football team. Okay, I know how them boys used to be, man. Yep. I understand that mentality. I understand what that's like. But they didn't make it a drawn out game. They didn't put effort into manipulating. They didn't put effort into basically violating somebody to earn points, because this wasn't about falling in love. This wasn't about going to the prom. This wasn't about any. Exactly. This is like Muhammad Ali stepping in and knocking out another opponent. Okay, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable, especially in today's society. We don't have a 1980s, 1990s mentality anymore where that shit's okay, whatever. No, that don't fly anymore. You are supposed to respect the women. You are supposed to respect the female. And if men can get in trouble for just simply disrespecting a female by slapping her, then why is it okay for them to take her innocence, to manipulate her mind and her heart? That's absurd. That's unacceptable. That shows malicious intent. And I feel that any act that shows malicious intent, that's a criminal act, man. That's a misconduct.
I can absolutely see that point. I really do. But I wanna pull it back here, and I'm gonna sound like an asshole here. But
nothing new there.
No, I'm the prick. You're the asshole.
Oh, that's true. You're right. You're right about that.
But we're making it sound like these women didn't have a choice. Okay, I know what college is like now. I have friends who've still. The women are hooking up now too. It's sexual freedom. It's
absolutely.
We're talking at it like every one of these women thought these guys were their soulmates, or these girls could have been.
But every one of these girls weren't going out there like, yep, got that one. That's a notch on my belt. All right, honey, who we going to get next?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why I find it so reprehensible, and to me, just absolute scumbag material. I mean, that's the best.
And
way
you're telling me in no way whatsoever, not one of these women that were investigated or talked to about this scenario ever once said, wow, this was, I totally feel violated. This was a manipulative situation. Yeah, he took advantage of me. He made me believe this and led me here and told me this, and then this really happened. So you're not telling me.
So far, no. So far, everything has been consensual.
Well, yeah, that's a fine line. That's a very fine line to walk right there. I'll give you that. It is a very fine line. But
The investigation
like
is
law,
ongoing. So
in
we
law,
may
if they
know
show
more
intent,
soon.
in law, if you show intent, that's a criminal act.
Mhm.
And by admitting that it was a game that they set up and played over an extended period of time, shows intent. It shows malicious intent.
But does
And
it
that
show?
to me-
But does it show intent of a criminal act? That's where I don't quite see.
Okay, so what's to say that these boys in college don't grow up and become men who go to work and play this same game on their coworkers, getting them drunk at the bar? I mean, what's the difference? I mean, predatory behavior is still predatory behavior. Okay.
Shutting it down early, I agree with completely, and doing it, and again, this being a Catholic college, of course,
Absolutely.
The school
You would think it
has
would be more regimented, more strict like that, right?
That's what I mean. And here, let me take us on just another little side, trip on this. This is a point I have had about all boys and all girls schools for a very long time. They are not a good idea. It represses you. Okay,
Absolutely.
You've never met wilder people than Catholic girls and
people.
Mormon girls.
Absolutely. I went
they
to
are
a
the
Catholic
most-
school. I know that.
They're the most repressed people because they're kept away from the guys. The guys are kept away from the girls.
Yep.
They are chomping
Absolutely.
at the bit to get to each other. I have been against this for a long time. It does not breed good behavior, in my opinion. Thank God I never had to go to one. My mother, anytime I'd slack on my grades, the first thing my mother would say is, get them up or you're going to an all-boys school. I'd be pulling A's and B's by the end of the year, But I've actually had a real issue with this for a long time. I do not believe it's healthy. I don't believe segregating boys and girls, and not letting them interact and have that get through that sexual tension of just being around each other, being aroused, being interested, being everything. When you keep that away from them, you repress people.
It's part of life to go ahead and interact with one another like that.
Absolutely.
They're going to go over the top.
And how else are you supposed to learn who you are, what you like, where you like, what, you know what I mean? All the ins and outs of life. You know what I mean? Like, I totally understand that. And I totally understand that. But once again, we weren't just talking about a random act. We weren't just talking about stumbling in on some teenage innocence. We were talking about
something that was planned
game, a planned out, exactly. And whether or not you can label it as sexual misconduct, it is still predatory behavior. And in today's world, predatory behavior is not allowed.
Here's something I just thought of, which might make it rise to the level of actual criminality, in that this was not just let's try and sleep with how many random girls. They targeted specific individuals.
Oh, that's even worse. Now you made it a demographic. Yeah, that's targeting. That's a targeted.
I hadn't thought of that.
That's
at
targeted.
At that point, you could go. They could actually be charged with criminal intent without a shadow of a doubt.
That was something I hadn't thought of.
I mean, and then we have other we have people right here. They're chatting about it right now. Patty is saying that they actually should be also charged with moral misconduct. So that's actually a good point right there.
Yes.
Well, which they probably can in
more
the Catholic
than likely,
school.
more than likely on Catholic guidelines.
Yes.
And then of course, Bob says women should always be respected. I agree with you as well, Bob. This situation in general is just, it's very tragic that it's still going on. It's very tragic that it's this planned out by these kids, by these children. I mean, Jeremy, you have 3 boys. If you found out any of your 3 boys did something like this, what would you, as a parent, how would you react to something like this?
My boys are over 18 at that point. I'm gonna bitch slap them hard.
Oh, man. It's more than a bitch slap. It's more than a bitch slap.
There's no way that if I found out about something like that, my boys would be, I would tear them a new one.
Pay attention. You remember the Flintstones? You remember the Flintstones, right? You remember that little kid on there? They called him Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
You remember what he used to do to people? You remember how he used to grab them by the feet and just smack them?
Bam.
That's exactly what. That's the very first thing that I'm doing. I didn't even hear the words finish coming out of the person's mouth before I'm already bam bamming them on the ground, because at that point you've crossed a line that is, there's no going back. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, The same with Miss Petito. You cross a line, you know that there's only so many options that you have after that. And one of them is either to face the music or to turn and tuck tail. And I'm not going to let you, if it's towards me, I'm not going to let you turn and tuck tail because,
Yep.
you know, I'm going to bam you on the spot type of thing. But I do feel that, you know, I'm not the best, you know, role model when it comes to reactionary decisions based upon the way I handle people offending my family. I've been known to get pretty drastic, you know, simply over somebody. Yeah, so I mean, the smallest little thing, you know, I have an autistic son, and a little girl called him, you know, and this little girl wasn't a little girl; she was like big enough girl to know not to call this little autistic boy stupid. And I walked away, but it's one of those things where, you know, it's I need to know better myself. You know, it may not be the best response to go knock somebody on their ass. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I am a parent.
Certainly understandable.
I'm going to destroy anything that's messing with mine. So, you know, I would only hope that in this situation that the parents of these kids are going to either A, accept responsibility, or B, correct whatever they've got going in their life to make it so their children are a little bit more respectable and a little bit more classy and maybe just a touch more understanding about the way things work in the world. You know what I mean?
Let's also not forget these young ladies. Some of these young ladies, or most of these young ladies, or all of these young ladies, believe that each one of these boys were in love with them, and you know they like them. This is like a lot.
Well, maybe like Jeremy.
Hold on. Let me just finish what I'm saying here. At the end of this, we don't know, because we don't know exactly if they knew. We don't know. We have no idea. This is all speculation. But in a hypothetical situation, if these young ladies did not know that this was a game, if these young ladies did not know any of this,
we know that.
Okay,
we know that they did not. They were not aware of the game.
If that's the case, and this could possibly psychologically scar these young women, you know, as they grow, because you know, if they're in high school and they're growing up, this is something that, you know, they're in the most delicate point of their adolescence, and this
doesn't
could
change
potentially
anything, but college, not high school.
Oh, this is college.
Yeah, this is a college.
That's what makes it even worse. That's what makes it even worse. Because they're all of age. They're all of mental reasoning. This isn't little puberty games. This isn't puberty games. Yep. This was predatory behavior by men of reason. That's what this is. That's predatory behavior by men of reason. I'm sorry. That's what makes it a crime. That's what makes it sexual misconduct. That's what makes it moral misconduct. I like that one who said that. That was very well said. Okay, but even worse, and on top of this, is the fact that we're all assuming, even myself, we're assuming that these women, you know, we're assuming what they think. We're assuming, oh, well, we think that we're falling in love, or we think that we don't know. So we need to clarify with them. What do you feel? How did this happen to you? What situation were you put in for this to occur? Were you manipulated? Were you seduced? Were you drugged? Were you alcoholized? Were you made to feel uncomfortable in any way? You understand what I'm saying? What are the thoughts of the people who it actually happened to? Because we can speculate and assume all we want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what happened to them. Okay, because in this
that's
world,
why the investigation's still going,
especially in a post-Harvey Weinstein world. Okay, it's about the victim. It's not about the predator. Okay, so that's where I find. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, we have to like actually move on here. I mean, this is a very hot topic, and I'm glad Jeremy brought it up and everything, but we have to like go ahead and move on to our final topic. If any of you agree with any of this, please go ahead, follow us on our social media. We can continue on talking on social media as well. Absolutely. And we can continue this conversation on there. In sports, man, right now, Dodgers, you're killing me, Dodgers. You're killing me right now. I mean, like, just when you think they're out, they somehow pull another win, and they smack the Atlanta Braves 11-2. That was insane. And the thing is, Jeremy, you actually said this. You said that it's possible they might not actually bring it back because, I mean, Justin Turner got injured in game 3. We're out 2 other players. Game 4. We're out 2 other players. It's a very tough comeback from behind, but they're pulling a miracle. They're right now. The series is right now 3-2. Dodgers are down by 1 game. If they pull another one off, they're going to be tied, and then that final game will determine who goes on to the World Series.
Well, let's talk about how bad Atlanta would be feeling in that situation. I mean, we're still 1 game away, but the Dodgers came back from 3-1 down last year to defeat them to go on to the World Series. So this team knows they can do it. They've done it before. They did it last year, but they are playing shorthanded. To not have Clayton Kershaw, to not have Max Muncy, and to now not have Justin Turner, you're talking about 3 potential Hall of Famers. Kershaw, definite Hall of Famer. Definitely. And, it's you're missing a very large part of your crew there. So it's going to be tough. And as I said, I'm not a big Dave Roberts fan. We won the title in spite of our manager, not because of him last year. And I really believe if he can stay out of the way and not try and overmanage the team, they still got a shot. It can still be done. But man, Atlanta's a good team. I don't know, man. Winning another 2 games. I want to see us pull it off, but I don't know if the Dodgers got enough in the tank to do it again this year.
Miracle Mets style?
It could be Miracle Mets style. We'll have to see. I mean, we went 7 games with the Giants, or 5 games with the Giants. If we win this, we go 7 games with the Braves, and then we still got to face either the Red Sox or Houston. So it's going to be a heck of a gauntlet.
It's going to be that. And Twizm, I was going to ask you, what are you a baseball fan, Twizm?
When I was a kid, I used to be a huge baseball fan. Chicago White Sox, Frank Thomas, the whole 9 yards. Midwest kid. I was a Midwest kid, right? So it's either basketball or baseball, right? Midwest is either basketball or baseball. So, I was familiar with it back in my day, but as I got older, I really kind of only stuck with basketball because I'm really good at that. So it was like my forte. It was like my thing, right? But I will say this much, man. I have a question in regards to the whole 3-2, them coming back from being down 2, miracle, type of thing. Does this happen like the Super Bowl where it's rigged? You know what I'm saying? Does this happen like with NBA superstar stuff where it's rigged? You know what I mean?
Ask the Houston assholes that.
I can tell you, in baseball, cheating is very possible, as we've seen, because the Houston Astros pulled it off against us. But it's actually very hard to rig a baseball game. Even the Chicago White Sox, the Black Sox. Yeah. Their scandal back in 1918 or what? Well, that was their because of that scandal.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They almost won that series, and half the team or 3/4 of the team was trying to throw it, and yet they still almost won. So it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to.
The reason I asked this is because it's a thing in professional sports to make the games of 7 draw out in order to maximize potential earnings. And so, I may not be the biggest baseball fan. Like, the last thing I remember about baseball, man, was Barry Bonds and what's the white dude?
Mark
McGwire. They were having the home run thing, and then Mark McGwire got popped for doing the steroids, and Barry Bonds never got the credit he deserved for being the best there ever was. And I'm just saying, that's the last thing I remember a long time ago, man. That's about as baseball as I get anymore. You know what I mean? So
only because I can't let it go because he's a Giant. Barry Bonds did get credit, and I can't call him the best ever because he was roided up too. HGH and roids all the way up. And it was in court. It's proven. He took the cream. He took the HGA. He took it all. So they didn't prosecute him. They couldn't charge him, but he cheated.
That's
just
my
as much
point.
as
So
everyone
I
else.
mean, like, look. If it was all
I'm sorry,
real,
I'm a
why
Dodger
didn't he
fan. I
get
can't let the Giants. I can't let anything with the Giants. I'm evil when it comes to the Giants.
Did you see the look I was giving you? Did you see the look I was like,
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
Well, in essence, we'll go ahead and keep an eye on it. I believe they're playing right now. The Dodgers
next game's
playing
tomorrow.
Oh, next game's tomorrow. So we'll definitely be. I'll be rooting for the hometown team.
Well, you can tell
Dodgers.
who the real fan is. You can tell who the real fan is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Are you kidding me? But other than that, I mean, Twizm, thank you so much for being on the Navarro-Miller Report,
Absolutely,
man.
bro.
Pleasure having you on here. And just so people can know, how can people stalk you on social media?
Well, I mean, it's really simple, man. The easiest way is to type in the word TWP Nation into your Google search bar. TWP Nation is my brand name, and that will bring up everything and anything, websites and social medias and things like that. If you actually want to stream the music or help us, rise in fame a little bit, then you would go to any of your social or your digital platforms you listen on, and you just type in Twizm Whyte Piece, which is TWIZM WHYTEPIECE. And it's complicated. It's a tongue twister, and you'll probably forget by the time I finish speaking. So take a screenshot and
Way you go with
just
TWP.
look at it.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have your entire social media on the description of this video when it reposts again and everything.
Thank God.
And of course,
Do you know how hard it gets to say that shit after so many?
No
like you
worries.
say, I have to say.
No worries. And of course, we got the podcast recast tomorrow, streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other streaming sites as well. We also have a GoFundMe for the Navarro-Miller Report, which is I'll attach the link to each one of these videos. We're trying to go ahead and raise some money here for the show, get some some new equipment and everything for the show. So hopefully y'all could go ahead and pitch in a little bit here and there. That'd be great. But other than that, I mean, Twizm, again, thank you so much for being on here.
Absolutely.
You're an incredibly talented individual. I mean, your music is incredible. Back when I had that other podcast, which will remain nameless, I played your music a lot. I played your music a lot there. So, and of course, you've always helped us out with our intros, our outros, everything that you are all listening to, whether it's the intro or the outro. This gentleman right here was the one that provided all those sounds for us. Thank you so much, man. You are a huge asset to the Navarro-Miller Report, bro.
Man, that's a blessing. If the one thing that I'm supposed to do with any of what I've accomplished in life is supposed to give back. So, man, if I can give back, man, it's a blessing to give back, bro. You know what I mean? I'm glad I can help. I'm glad to see appreciation. It's always makes somebody feel good to be appreciated. You know what I mean?
It was great to finally get to see
Jeremy,
you and talk to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jeremy, man, real quick, man. I want to say, man, dude, you're pretty cool, man. Like, I didn't know what to expect.
Don't lie to him. Don't lie to him.
No, but you like walk into a situation and you're like, okay, because it's an unknown. See, I knew Dave, so it was easy to like communicate with him and talk. We talk all the time, right? So learning you and meeting you for the first time, it was an absolute pleasure and a thrill, brother. And
Same
by all
here.
means, man, like I'd love to talk again or chat with you, man. Like I'm pretty sure that me and you would have some pretty good conversations, it seems like. So
Definitely.
Most definitely.
I'll get your number
man.
from Dave. I'll hit you up, brother.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Sounds good, guys. Well, that's the news. In case you haven't heard it, thank you so much again for checking us out tonight. Hopefully, all of you have a wonderful Friday, the rest of your Friday evening, and a wonderful weekend. And remember, we're back on again this Monday, as usual, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you check us out. For now, we're out of here. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Be blessed.
These
Be
guys.
blessed.
You have been listening to the Navarro-Miller Report.